Good day, viewers. Good day, viewers. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Food Explorations. Today, we want to talk about diaspora and overdependence. Most of my videos, I talk about the people in the diaspora in relation to their roots, because I understand or I believe that whoever goes out of the country to look for money, to hunt, eventually has to go back home. And for one to go back home, there has to be a connection, there has to be a relationship between the diaspora and the roots. But the discussion today is about those people back home who then overdepend on the diaspora, or those in the diaspora who overdepend on the local people or our relatives back home. I always believe the diaspora and the roots are connected, very much strongly connected. Always, when you go out to work, you go back home. This is the essence of the discussion, and that's my view. That's my strong belief system. Before we get into the discussion, I kindly encourage you to subscribe, to share, and to like, so that I'm able to make more videos that are informative and everyone else out there gets a share of this. I make these arguments, these presentations from someone who has been in Zimbabwe for close to 30 years, whilst from the terraces I've been watching people going out, people working out there, getting experiences from those out there, and also seeing and experiencing from back home. And at the end of the day, being able to juxtapose the two scenarios, the two situations, before I finally decided to move out of my country. So I always believe, I'm always strongly convinced that my arguments are meant to create rapport, create a connection, create a smooth, navigable bridge between the two communities, the locals or the roots and the diaspora, so that at the end of the day, the diaspora is well received back home. At the end of the day, the diaspora is able to assist the roots. There's that interconnection, the relationship has to be kept well. There are scenarios, or there's a scenario where people go out of the country to work. And as they work, they send remittances back home. Because of their absence, it is the relatives back home, those close ones back home and their friends, who then manage their monies, who then manage their projects, who then run all the errands. In most cases for no payment, but out of conscience, the diaspora then once in a while decide to give tokens of appreciation. And over time, we have realized that it is these tokens of appreciation that are handed out that then create conflicts between members of the same family if one is getting and the others are not getting, despite the level of assistance one may be contributing or giving out towards the project management. It is these tokens of appreciation that are given out that then gradually breed dependence or overdependence. This overdependence is not one-sided. It's not only the locals or people back home who overdepend on the diaspora. There are also some people in the diaspora who overdepend on the people back home for their project management, for errands or anything that they want done. And over-dependence on these individuals get them exposed to fraudulent activities, get them exposed to falsehoods and misleading information and statements. That also breeds conflicts within families or among friends and relatives. The relationship or the connection between the diaspora and the people back home is important both ways, and it's helpful both ways. There must be a scenario, it must be a situation where both benefit. The diaspora benefits and the locals benefit. The diaspora helps and the locals help. Everyone must play an equal part. Everyone must play a meaningful part. Everyone must play a role that's beneficial to everyone, every stakeholder. Over the years, I've realized, like in my family, I come from a family of 9 siblings, and for more than 20 years, it has been a situation where the majority of the siblings have been out of the country, and a few of us were in Zimbabwe. And I know when I talk about the project management thing, I know where I'm coming from. When I talk about the help, diaspora help, I know I'm coming from. When I talk about the diaspora remittance, I know I'm coming from. When I talk about the locals helping the diaspora, I know where I'm coming from. And when I talk about the conflicts between the two communities, the diaspora community and the local community, I know where I'm coming from. And therefore, this is from an experienced perspective or standpoint. It's important to note that, or to highlight the fact that no matter how daft, no matter how stupid, no matter how disorganized one has been, the moment they go out of the country, especially to the West or to Australia, suddenly a miracle happens. Suddenly, from being daft and foolish, they think they are now wise and know it all. They now begin to look down upon those that they've left back home, simply because they've managed to go out of the country. That's a bad notion that has grown and has spread across families, and it has bred conflicts, confusion, and stagnation in terms of development. But however, those back home have been able to help those in the diaspora. Like I said, it's a two-way kind of relationship. Those in the back home have been able to help those in the diaspora by running their errands, by managing their projects, and most importantly, by giving them accommodation whenever the diaspora visit home. Not only accommodation, they've been able to give transport, because most of the people who are in the diaspora do not have cars back home in Zimbabwe. And most of them either have no idea of hiring cars or have no cars parked back home. And so whenever they come, because they want comfortable lives, they want comfortable holidays, they will need vehicular movement. Where do they get those cars? It's the people back home who sacrifice the 2 weeks, who sacrifice the month-long period during which the diaspora has visited Zimbabwe, that they hand over their vehicles for use, and in most cases for free, hoping that there shall come a time when the diaspora community will pay back in some form, in some way, one way or the other. And similarly, the diaspora helps the local community financially. Whenever there's a problem back home it is the diaspora community, in the majority of cases, that is able to raise or to mobilize financial resources to assist. And it's that connection which is very important. So it's two-way. One community helps the other. There's an important reciprocation. There's a very critical element of reciprocation that has to be understood. And good management of that relationship, reciprocal relationship, has helped families grow. It's important. When we then talk about the dependent syndrome, it reminds me of my uncle. I have an uncle who, I don't know him. I'm over 50, but I don't know him. He has been living in South Africa, just like his father died over 70. I'd never seen him, but I attended his funeral. Actually, it's my father who slaughtered a beast for the funeral, and I actually shot the beast, and I carried, using my truck, the beast that my father donated for the funeral. So it's the family, that kind of family, which does not believe in having a steady home, being based at a central place where they are able to develop themselves. So this uncle of mine has been living in South Africa, and recently there's been a family WhatsApp group created, and I'm also there. The group is there, is like an uncle. He leads the group, though not the oldest in the group. He has been there in South Africa, doing nothing, living a life of vagrants. Not only vagrants and bearing children. And only recently, a few years back, my general sisters who were in the diaspora have managed to persuade him to go back to Zim. And fortunately, last year he went back to Zim, and my general sisters quickly constructed a house for him in the rural areas, with the hope that if he sees solid structures, beautiful structures, contrary to the cuckoos, the wood and steel houses that he lived in South Africa, he was then going to be persuaded to permanently reside in Zimbabwe. He was only there for less than 2 weeks. He went back to South Africa. And yesterday, or this morning, on the WhatsApp group, we then posted pictures showing that his house and his few properties in the house were being affected by ants. There were ant hills developing, and the doors were being affected. He was asking family members back home to rescue him, to buy him some chemicals, apply and do whatever thing. He was asking people back home to do it for him. And yes, he is in South Africa, in the diaspora, where he can earn good money and send. That's overdependence. That's exactly what I'm talking about, overdependence. He has been in South Africa for decades of years, doing nothing. The only house that has only been in his name was donated by general sisters of mine. He has not been able to maintain those houses. He has not been able to be at the home that was donated to him. And now that the home is being affected or being destroyed by ants, he is asking again for help. And I received the chemical that he wants, that's required to take care of, to address this problem costs nine US dollars, which is about 12 pounds. Is in South Africa, which is about probably 200 rands, plus or minus 200 rands. You cannot raise that. And yet he has been walled in South Africa, doing nothing, living life of vagrants and stupidity. That's the kind of overdependence that I'm talking about. You see, because you are exposed to freebies, you develop some mentality of entitlement. Not only my uncle, there are several types of people like my uncle. There are several, every family has such people who behave like my uncle. They never think of tomorrow. They never think of a good future, a better future. Overdependence, just exactly what I've seen in my uncle and several of my relatives and friends. Overdependence breeds laziness. Such people do not want to work because they think, or they have this sense of entitlement that someone is out there to do it for them. Because they are used to other people doing it for them, whenever they get a chance of getting hold of the money or the assistance, they tend to abuse. They are so dishonest. They lie. They cheat. They have fraudulent minds. They are never satisfied with whatever assistance they get. Such people who get so much assistance, they lack problem-solving skills, or naturally they have them, but they are gradually killed by the overdependence. Other people have to do it for them. They just sit on their laurels. They sit on their brains. The problem-solving skill naturally dies. They can't think of anything to do. They lack innovation. They never think of anything, any project that gives them money. Any skill, any business that gives them money, that gives them a sustainable, noble livelihood. Never. Overdependence kills independence. Because some people do it for you, they then control you. Because normally there is no free assistance. Every assistance or most assistances are tied to some conditionalities. I used to think that there is free assistance. And I used to think that even when our fathers or our parents send us to school, pay fees for us, it's their responsibility and therefore it's for free. No, they do it on condition that we eventually live well and move away from depending on them ever again. That's a condition. Be self-dependent and move away from me. That's a condition. I'm sending you to school so that you are self-dependent. That's a condition. Suppose you are at a gathering, the car that you are driving was bought by your brother, the house that you live in was bought by your brother, and your brother also assisted you to pay for your bride price. And there's an argument. Do you think you are prepared to oppose your brother? You lose self-esteem. You lose confidence. You lose independence. Your ability to express your views is eroded because you depend on those people, because you depend on other people. Overdependence, again, like in the case of my uncles, breeds a poverty cycle. The poverty started with the fathers, it has gone into the children, and it will go into their children, and it goes on until someone breaks free from the dependence cycle. That is syndrome has to be crushed it has to be addressed permanently. We will look at one or two ways of addressing the dependence syndrome. My uncle is saying, because there was an argument in the discussion when he talked about some asking for assistance, and the majority of people are saying, Guru, you are being over dependent, Malume, you are being over dependent on other people, you can't work, you are lazy, and so on and so forth. Because he left last year in May, April, May, thereabout, he had not tilled the land, he went back. He's now saying, no, I want to go back now. Yet everyone, it's post agriculture season. If he goes back, where is he going to get food from? Who does he want to bother for food? He's lazy. He only goes to Zimbabwe when people are off the fields, when people are not working in the fields, because he's lazy. He only wants to go when people have already harvested their crops, and he will be moving around with a begging bowl. That's laziness. Overdependence builds or creates or generates unproductive people. Like I indicated, when there's an argument between people who are being assisted, you then see amongst the people some controlling behavior. Those who help would then want to impose their feelings, their belief systems, their wants on others. How they want the world is what they want everyone else to view that world. And for those who are being helped, it's hard to resist. And if they attempt to resist, it takes them time for the resistance to sail through, for the resistance to be seen and heard, to be acknowledged. Ultimately, overdependence creates emotional exhaustion on both parties, on the one assisting and on the one being assisted. The one assisting gets to a point when he or she says, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with this bastard. I'm fed up with this idiot. I'm fed up with this apathetic, reckless, negligent, self-destructive, irresponsible person. No more freebies, no more help. And when the other party gets wind of this feeling, conflict begins. He no longer wants to assist me. He's being irresponsible. I have a problem. He no longer wants to assist me. That's the problem of overdependence. How then do we address the problem of overdependence? How do we resolve this issue of overdependence? I think it's important to consider serious counseling, because overdependence, I think, it's a mental condition. It's actually a mental health issue. People need serious counseling. Serious mental health issue. Kutorwara chaiko, kupenga, kuhlanya. These people also need capacity building. They need to be skilled. They need to be given resources. They need to be given direction. They need to be trained in some way of making money, to be responsible. Otherwise, the problem won't go away. They need to be told that they must be independent they must stand on their own. They must be able to find means of getting income and move away from dependence. But however, the relationship between the two communities must be sustained, because at the end of the day, we need each other. At the end of the day, we help each other. At the end of the day, we must be there for each other. The locals must help the diaspora, because it is in the diaspora where resources are easily found. But the diaspora also needs the locals, because at the end of the day, when they fall on hard times, it is the locals who then provide with a soft landing. So, the two communities need each other, but the problem of overdependence must be avoided and stopped whenever possible, at whatever cost. If you think this has been important, if you think this is inspiring, if you think this will help someone out there, then please subscribe, share, and like. Until we meet again, thank you.